Hola, què tal? Està a punt de començar la 6a temporada de Tots al Blitz i, com sempre, començarem amb el nostre padrí, amb el millor Homo sapiens que ha trepitjat mai el planeta Terra, que és Scott Hanson. Així que no m'enrotllo més i us deixo amb l'entrevista amb Scott Hanson a Tots al Blitz. Comença la 6a temporada. Recordeu, com sempre, subscriure-us i seguir-nos a les xarxes socials. Que vagi bé. Fins ara!
Up in 7 hours of commercial-free football.
Soc Scott Hanson. Escuteu Tots al Blitz.
Hello. Hello. Scott Hanson, welcome.
We're back. We're back.
How are you?
You are back.
Did you remember that you said that phrase in Catalan last year?
100% I remember it, and I was wondering how it turned out, and it sounded pretty good there, yes?
No, it's great. It sounds great. I mean, it's perfect.
Tots al Blitz. We're back. Hey. We're back.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being back here 1 year later. Everybody on our audience obviously knows who you are, but just let me summarize a bit. Who is Scott Hanson? You are the creator and host of NFL Red Zone, which is the show that every Sunday in the NFL Network, during the regular season, we can enjoy 7 hours of commercial-free football. Literally, it's not just a claim, it's the truth. And here in our land, we can watch the NFL Red Zone via the NFL Game Pass and also in Movistar, which is a cable network here. So everyone here is able to watch you every Sunday. And I'm sure you have some metrics and you know that you are your program is very well followed here. It's very well known. And in your program, apart of having 7 hours of commercial-free football, we can watch every touchdown, every game, every highlight. And what for me is very important is that it's also very funny. Yeah. Because it's a lot of time watching football. I mean, we love the sport, but we also love having fun. And I think that's a very particular way of showing the sport to the fans. And for us, it's really something that it needs to be highlighted. So thank you very much for being here. And yeah, 1 year later, here you are.
Yep. You're welcome. It's good to be back with you guys. And
we are so excited.
Yeah, we want to make the show informative, right? We want to get you every touchdown from every game. We want to get you all the stats and facts and figures. But we also don't want to lose sight of the fact that this is entertainment for 99% of the people that are watching the show. So we want to make it fun. The drama is built into the sport. We are always going to have, when we have 7, 8, 9 games going on, one of those, or maybe 3 of them, are going to come down to the final play of the game. So we're always going to have the drama, and that'll always be there. But we want to have some fun with it as well. There's goofy stuff. The players, the coaches are human beings just like you and me. They'll make mistakes, sometimes more humorous than others. We want to highlight some of that and say, hey, this is one of the weird, strange, goofy, fun, funny things that's going on in the NFL. So I'm glad that you enjoy that and you picked up on that.
Yes, I think it helps a lot to be connected for so many hours, because in the end, it's 7 hours, it's a lot of time. And with no commercials, I mean, you cannot even go to the bathroom. I mean, you can, but it's, you can't, but we can. But it's a very nice way of enjoying it. So, as I was saying, it's the second time in a row that you help us kick off our season, because this is the first show of our 6th season. For me, this is starting to look like a tradition.
Well, let's hope so. Let's see how this one goes, and then maybe we'll be able to continue the tradition next year. Last year was a lot of fun. So, okay, if it's the first show, are you already doing Super Bowl predictions?
We'll come to that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on for some minutes.
You just have a spoiler of the interview here.
Yeah.
So talking about the season, what will draw your attention of this season?
Yeah, I think we're coming off of one of the craziest off seasons in NFL history. I mean, the greatest player of all time retired for 40 days and unretired. And it's kind of like no one's even talking about that anymore because of all the other quarterbacks that switch teams, all of the wide receivers that switch teams, all of the huge contracts that were paid out to players. And so the offseason gave us so many different storylines. If I had to boil it down to one that I would say is something that we'll be watching in week 1 and we'll be watching in week 18, it's the AFC West. That division has 4 teams in it that not only could you make a case all 4 teams could win the division, you could probably make a case that all 4 teams can be Super Bowl contenders, maybe even a Super Bowl champion. It's just dynamic what's going on in that division between the quarterbacks and then some of the defenders that switched teams and came into that division. And obviously wide receivers and playmakers like Devontae Adams going to Las Vegas. The AFC West is going to be one of the markers to determine how the entire NFL season goes.
So back again to the preseason. You say Devontae Adams to the Raiders, but there's a lot more of movement. There's any preseason player or situation that has surprised you most?
Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. And as we are speaking today, if we're live right now, you've already heard the news. Russell just signed a brand new contract extension for $165 million guaranteed, whatever the guaranteed amount is. The Denver Broncos have just upped the ante, and they were already a pretty solid defense last year. They've got good young playmakers in the backfield and on the outside at the wide receiver position and at tight end. Russell Wilson is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I think his movement from Seattle to Denver is one of the ones that'll have the biggest ripple effects in how the season plays out. Because either Denver is going to be a playoff team and maybe a Super Bowl contender themselves, or they are going to threaten Kansas City, who we already know is a Super Bowl contender. The Raiders, who were a playoff team last year. The Chargers, who people expect to be a playoff team and a contending team for the Super Bowl. So Russell going to the Broncos is maybe my single biggest movement of the offseason.
I'm going to jump to a question that I had for later because you are just nailing everything that we were going to talk later. Yeah. No, it's perfect. Because with the Russell Wilson movement and the new contract and with all these pieces that all the teams in the AFC West currently have, do you think they want to create an independent football league from the NFL in the AFC West?
No, they're good. They just want to. The funny thing is, some of the people that are big into math have run like a schematic or a scenario apparently where mathematically all 4 teams in that division could make the playoffs. Apparently, I haven't check the math myself. I'm not a mathlete, as we say. But apparently, mathematically speaking, even though they all play each other twice, they could win all their other games, split with each other, and all 4 teams could make the playoffs. Of course, that's never happened in the NFL. No, they ain't going to create their own league, but whoever comes out of that division as the best has a really, really good shot to hoist the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe you have to make a specific red zone only for this division.
I'll tell you what, I can't wait till we go double box at some point, and you've got Chargers and Raiders, over here, and Broncos and Chiefs over here. That's going to be sizzling once we do that.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that about Brady retiring. Did you believe Brady when he said he was retiring? Did you believe that was true?
I actually did. I thought it was true. And I even think maybe he thought it was true at the beginning. And then he went and played golf. And, he took the kids to school. And he took Giselle out for lunch dates and whatnot. And he's like, yeah, I really miss football. One of the reasons one of the characteristics that made him the greatest quarterback of all time and probably the greatest football player of all time is also the same characteristic that might not let him say goodbye to the game. Because at some point he will, but we see it in boxing sometimes. There's boxers who, get old and it's like, you got nothing left to prove. You've got all the money. Mm-hmm. You've had the championships. You've had all the fame and the glory. Go, enjoy your life. But what made them great is also what makes them not be able to say goodbye. They can't ever let it go. And so I think, Brady's he's back. He had his little 11-day vacation in the middle of training camp. He says he's ready to go. You won't find this sportscaster betting against him.
No. And he's playing at a very high level. So
Yes.
It's hard for someone like him, so competitive, so used to win, to just say, okay, I'm going home. And I agree with you.
Yep.
10 days later, you're at home and say, come on, I could still win another ring.
And everyone's picking the Buccaneers in the NFC South, and the NFC looks to be maybe not as strong 1-16 as the AFC. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are taking the Buccaneers in the NFC to make it back to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And
yes.
then
Because
in playoff, everything
Exactly.
could happen. So
if Brady is able to clinch playoff, once there, be careful.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
So, okay, now let's try to win some money. We want to put a bet on the Super Bowl participants. You remember that they told you that it was a spoiler? So it's a small bet, don't worry. It's all perfectly legal, no worries, everything's
Okay.
fine. So which teams do you see playing this Super Bowl? We will put a bet on that prediction.
I've been around the NFL long enough to know no one knows nothing. Super Bowl predictions are fun, and that's about it. Heck, we'll make Super Bowl predictions here at the beginning of the season. You can make it again at the halfway point of the season. You can make it again at the end of the regular season once we already know the playoff teams, and you'll probably be wrong all 3 times. No one knows nothing. That's the beauty of the NFL. Nobody had the Bengals last year. No one had the Bengals versus the Rams last year. But we like to make predictions. So I really liked the Buccaneers in the NFC, but their offensive line injuries and the attrition, the departing players, makes me think maybe the Rams can do it again. Maybe the Rams can get back to the Super Bowl. And then in the AFC, I started by talking about the AFC West. I got to pick one of those teams. And would you believe, I think the Chargers might actually. I actually think.
Los Angeles Super Bowl.
It would be LA.
Yeah.
LA. I wish the Chargers had a better home field advantage. I don't, their home field situation is kind of strange because they play in SoFi Stadium, technically the Rams Stadium that they share. But Herbert is in the peak of his powers right now. And I know everyone's picking the Bills, so I'm just going kind of a little counterculture in saying, maybe the Chargers. And the Chargers didn't even make the playoffs last year. Remember, they were knocked out of the playoffs in the last game of the regular season last year. But I think, the playmakers they have on the outside, Austin Eckler being a top-notch running back, the defense is solid, and Derwin James just getting his new money and whatnot. I think that they might be primed and ready to make a run. But, again, nobody knows nothing, so I wouldn't be surprised if either one of those teams didn't even make the playoffs this year.
We trust you, so we are going to make some money on this. No worries.
Oh, okay. All right. Good luck with that.
Okay, we know you've been in Germany this summer. You came there to record some clips and to do some shows from there. How was your trip there? Have you been there before? I mean, I guess it's a very different trip than if you go on holiday, but I mean, how do you see this second spot for international games in Europe?
Yeah, so I went to Germany in late June. I was in Munich and Frankfurt, mixing in with fans, doing some NFL appearances. It was awesome. I loved it. The German fans are fired up. The NFL is very serious about making a commitment to Germany. And evidenced by the fact that they're sending the greatest football player of all time over there to play in the regular season, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers against the Seahawks. I think the game is already pretty big there, and it's going to grow. And that atmosphere that the Germans are going to put on when we watch that game in, I think it's November. I don't know the exact date, but October, November. That atmosphere is going to go around the world, and I think it's going to be a great showing for the NFL in Germany.
So talking a bit about ourselves, here in Barcelona, we have two American Bowls in the 90s. We were one of the founding cities of the old World League and the NFL Europe. Do you think the NFL will come to Barcelona someday in the near mid future? Do you have any information, any inside information that you can share with us?
I can't predict with 100% certainty that the NFL will come to Spain or Barcelona specifically, but I will say this. If Totzal Blitz keeps hyping up the game enough, hyping up the sport, there's a better chance than not. And at some point they'll say, here we go.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk a little bit about NFL Red Zone.
Yeah.
So many years doing it. What are the main differences for you of today's show with those first years? Have you changed how you approach each program?
I think we've gotten a little bit better at doing what we do, but from day one, which was week one of the 2009 season, we made a commitment. Every touchdown from every game, all the most exciting plays of every game, the game winning and game losing moments. And then in our meeting room, I always tell the staff, hey, it's not only every touchdown, it's whatever someone will be talking about on Monday, they need to see live or 10 seconds after it happens on Sunday on NFL Red Zone. So the spirit of what we do, our approach has not changed. There's tiny little tweaks that we've made that have hopefully made the show better. And here going into season 14, hopefully it's our best season yet.
Anything new for this season?
There'll be some new graphics and some new things, but no major changes. No major changes. We just want the football to stay great, and we'll be out there riding the wave with all of it.
And I think it's mandatory to ask you any funny anecdotes or curiosities in all these seasons that are still a secret?
Are still a secret. I've told a couple of them. I mean, look, I'm a human being. I'm speaking off the top of my head for 7 straight hours. I'm going to mess up. I shoot for 100% accuracy. If I land at 98% or 95%, that's still pretty good. But I'll mess up stuff all the time. And I hope that if and when I mess up a name or a fact or something, that you and your audience takes it easy on Uncle Scott.
Okay. I don't know if you are a human being. I don't have a...
No, nowadays it's quite easy with AI to just impersonate people.
Hey guys, I got to make this the last question because I've got to roll the
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
absolutely.
going around the world here. I got many countries that have asked.
We know. Actually, we're going to say you that thank you very much because we do know that you are on a very tight schedule. So thank you for the opportunity to have you on our show again. As I said, this is a tradition. So we'll try next year to see if we can have you for the initial show of our 7th season. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it that you just spare some time to be here with us.
Thank you for having me. You guys are awesome. Totzal Blitz. Stay with them for all the best in the NFL.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Scott.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.